Joining me right now is Dan Hooker, one of the rising contenders in the lightweight division for the UFC. What's going on, Dan? Welcome to Kumite Radio.
Good to talk to you again.
For sure, man. Before we get into your huge fight coming up, I want to talk to you about UFC 223. The crazy week that happened. Of course, the first thing is Conor McGregor throwing that dolly into the van. When you were watching that, what were you thinking in your mind? Like, is this guy on drugs or what?
it, it was entertaining, right? I think everyone was entertained by it. I feel bad for the guys like Michael Chiesa that he got cut and he lost his fight and he loses out on. He loses out on money. I think he might sue Conor and then be better off for it, but. He wanted to fight. He wanted to fight Pettis. That's a good fight for Chiesa. That's a big name for him. So it's bad about that, but I don't know, man. Like, Khabib's can't just go around with his mob of Kazakhstanis just slapping guys and expecting nothing to come back,
So that whole week, it was a crazy week. Ferguson gets injured. Then Holloway comes in. He is pulled because of medical reasons. Then they got Anthony Pettis. Anthony Pettis can't fight. Then Paul Felder. They said Paul Felder can't fight because he's not ranked, high enough. And then Al Iaquinta comes in and fights Khabib. When you were watching that title fight, which was a total mess, in my opinion, what did you think about Khabib's performance since you are a contender in the lightweight division?
His fight against Al Iaquinta?
Yes.
I wasn't surprised by it. Like, I've watched a lot of Khabib's fights. Like, I've studied all of his UFC fights, gone back and watched him through. So, nothing about that performance really surprised me. Those are traits that I've seen in other fights. He went away for a long period of time with injuries, and then came back, and he fought Rocha, and then he fought Michael Johnson and Barbosa, and he looked like really impressive in those fights because he got those guys out of there. Well, they were good stylistic matchups for him. But if you go back and like watch his older fights, you'll see that stuff. You'll see how he tries to pull punches like that, and pull his chin out of the way, and he's like the rest of us. Like, we're all human. We all have a certain amount of hours in the day to work on things. And if you solely focus on one thing for so long, obviously someone else is going to be better than you at like certain areas. So nothing about that shocked me. I wasn't like, oh, this is Khabib's human. I already knew he was human. I know we're human. We're all human. We all have our holes in our game. So yeah, I was not surprised by it.
Since you moved up to lightweight, you faced Ross Pearson, knocked him out in the second round. Then you took on another, rising prospect, Mark DeCasey, choked him out in the third. When I look at those fights, I see that you kind of go in there with a certain strategy, and then when the opening comes, you take it quickly, right? Is that something that, are you getting better at seeing the opportunities to finish the fight now compared to earlier in your career?
That's solely due to my coach Eugene and the coaches that I have, and the system that he puts in place. Working with him, training with him every day, I'm just getting better. I feel like I've improved from the last fight. Yeah, he's Israel for a reason. We have, and our gym is doing so well for a reason, and that's Eugene. Very smart guy, very unassuming, but I'll solely credit that to him.
Eugene, the head coach of City Kickboxing, you guys have been a factory of elite fighters for the past couple of years. Not in just MMA, but you got kickboxing and Muay Thai and all the other disciplines. What is the secret for your guys' success, other than Eugene, of course?
No, I think when you surround yourself with like-minded people, we're all like solely focused. You can't come in the gym with like a half-ass attitude and expect no one to call you out. You come in the gym and you're not ready to work that day. Like it's a yeah, it's like a community of guys going for the same thing. And if you're not part of that, like you're gonna get shredded. Like in most gyms, if you went out Saturday night, or if you were the guy that didn't go out Saturday night, they'd be like, oh, you didn't go out to the club Saturday night, oh, you missed out, you missed out. It's like in our gym, it's like a reverse of that. Like if you go out, if you went out Saturday and there's things on your Instagram and pictures of you in the club drinking, like get ready for guys to come at you come Monday. Like they'll be like, oh, he hasn't slept right, he hasn't recovered right. Guys will go after you for so it's like, and you'll get ripped on and you get shredded. So it's like the complete reverse effect. So it's just, and that is from our coaches. They kind of set that standard, and we all abide by it and follow it, and we're just getting the results now.
It seems like that you guys had a situation like that before, where somebody went out on the weekend and came back, and you guys had to shred them up a little bit, right?
Oh yeah, like it happens all the time, man. Like, like if I see a guy who's been out in the club and we're training the next morning, like I'm gonna push the pace on him. I'm gonna push the pace because I'm sure he can't hang with it. Like. So it's small. It's small. It seems like it's small stuff, but it's like just it builds up to like a complete attitude. Like we all share the same attitude. We all want the same thing.
Speaking of gyms, you're about to open your own gym, the Combat Academy. Well, how did that come about, and why now?
I feel like there's just so much interest surrounding the sport, and so many people that want to be part of the sport. Like I feel like there is a need for a place like this, and there is definitely a want for it, a need for it, an industry for it. And not necessarily people that are solely focused on competing and being fighters and doing this. I just think combat sport is a great way to stay in shape. A great training martial arts is an incredible way to make you mentally stronger, physically stronger. And so it's kind of like a place for all the people that want to be a part of the sport, but not necessarily want to do all the kind of hard sparring and grinding work, because you can get so much out of just training martial arts, boxing, kickboxing, skill-wise, technique-wise. There's so much to learn. I feel like it's the best possible thing you could do for fitness. I enjoy it so much. So it's just kind of a place for me to share my love and my passion of martial arts with everybody. It's a place for anybody, a place for where anyone is welcome, regardless of fitness level. And you can come, you can learn, you can improve, you can feed off my passion for the sport.
All right, now let's talk about your fight coming up on April 21st in Atlantic City against Jim Miller. Jim Miller, you guys are the only other lightweight bout on this card except for the main event, which is Kevin Lee versus Edson Barbosa. Is that a strategic move by you?
Nah, I got offered Jim Miller. I said yes to Jim Miller. Like, I don't know. You tell me what that means.
Because nowadays, a lot of fights are falling apart, just like the other weekend at UFC 223. You're on the card. You're the only lightweight bout. You never know. Those two guys are at the top of the division. Something can happen. That's why I was saying, could this be strategic by you? Because, you're a strategy guy.
Nah, I've definitely taken that into account. I like that fight. I like either of those fights. It's like a fight. It's a 5-round main event. So yeah, if it came across, I would definitely take that fight. Like that's a phenomenal opportunity, and I'm in great shape. I've definitely put in the work and I've covered all the bases, so I would be ready for any opponent. So that would be something that I would definitely jump all over.
Being ready for any opponent, right? So when you train, when you're in camp, do you just kind of train for yourself and not worry about the opponent?
Um, like my coaches do a lot of study. Like they do a lot of film study. They watch a lot, and then they'll, through like pad work and drilling, they'll kind of share that with me physically. It's not like we'll sit down and they'll explain it to me. They'll physically kind of steer me towards what they want me to do. So it's I kind of doing I kind of capitalize on their any holes they might have through all the drilling, through all the pad work, but not really being so aware of it. Because when you start overlooking for something and it's not there, is when uh, you kind of get shut down. You're like, oh, he's going to be here after this shot, and then he's not. Then he comes in with a different strategy. Then it'll kind of throw you off. So if I unwittingly go for these things, then it's not that big of a deal when it's not there because I'm not even aware that I'm chasing it.
What attributes do you possess that make this matchup terrible for Jim Miller?
I don't think I bring anything to the table that Jim hasn't seen before. Like he's fought tall guys before. Look, I don't think I'm that good, but I'll beat anyone in the world. Like I just think it's funny, like the way the sport is marketed. You know, like that as soon as someone becomes a champion, like all this goes into like, oh, this guy is unbeatable. He's got an iron chin. He's got a one punch kill. Like I don't understand. That's not why I like the sport. I like the sport because on any day, any man can beat any other man. Like all these rankings and things like that, it doesn't mean anything to me. Like I feel like on a bad day, anyone in the division can beat me. On a good day, I can beat anyone in the division. Like I feel like we're all human. We all have our holes. Stylistically, we all match up good and bad with different fighters. Yeah, so it's funny to me that that's the way that they've chosen to market the sport with like undefeated records and things like this. I think it's just not why I like the sport.
I guess that's more for the casual fans that don't really know much about the sport or much about the fighters, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. We're getting a lot out of being like a mainstream sport. So I guess it's just something that the UFC have to take into account.
Michael Chiesa, Anthony Pettis, Dustin Poirier. These guys are guys in the top 10, and these guys are the guys that have beaten Jim Miller in recent outings. Now, do you feel that Jim Miller has become somewhat of a gatekeeper?
He's definitely he's been in there with everyone, so he's definitely like a standard. I don't like the term like gatekeeper. I like the he's definitely like a standard. Like if I beat Jim Miller, if I manage to get past Jim Miller impressively, then I'm guaranteed top 15 opponent. That would be hard. That would be hard to deny that because he is the standard. If you get past Jim Miller, you're proving yourself at that top echelon of the sport. But I'm expecting the best Jim Miller that there has ever been. You know, like he's a very dangerous submission guy. He's got good strikes, good wrestling. So I'm expecting that Jim Miller. I'm not going to take anything for granted with him.
Do you believe Jim Miller is the most skilled opponent you've had so far in your UFC career?
Mm, it's every man is different. Everyone is different. Everyone has like things they're good at, things they're bad at. He's very well rounded. Um, Good striking, good cage control, very good jiu-jitsu. So that's something I've definitely been aware of this training camp. But I've fought quality grapplers before, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I'll just have to wait. Like I'm as interested as you. Like I don't know how things are gonna play out. Like I honestly don't. It could go a million different ways. I actually have no idea. So I'm as interested as anyone to get in there and to see. I want to see. I'm gonna hit him. I'm gonna see if he's gonna hit me back. I'm gonna, yeah. I'm as interested as you are. Like this is, yeah. It's just a big mystery going into a fight.
Do you think that that attitude that you have right now of like you're interested to see what happens, is that a big part of your success?
I think more. I have my success when I have that respect for the sport and I have that, respect for my opponent, and I don't take anything for granted. When I take everyone seriously, and yeah, when I don't take anything for granted, and I just approach it uh, with a bit more of a humble attitude. That 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 seems to be working for me. Every man is different. Some guys like to get super confident going into fights, but this works for me, so I'll stick with this.
All right, last question before I let you go. In your UFC career so far, what is the most memorable moment you've had?
Most memorable one moment. Uh, Damn, there's a few, man.
Well, just let them, list them off. Let's go.
Yeah, I think any victory, like that's like everyone is like a stepping stone. Like my first win in the UFC, like that was a big milestone for me. But then going back to Auckland and getting the Pearson win, that was another big win. Head kick knockout over Hatsu, and getting those post fight bonus. That's another that's another like feather in my cap. So I don't know, man. There's every win.
All right, April 21st, UFC Fight Night 128 in Atlantic City. You're going to face Jim Miller. Huge opportunity. I've been following you for a long time, Dan, and good luck, man.
Thank you, brother.